You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Motivation and Mindset Monday. So the topic of the week, what we will be going over today are the 7 ways to reduce anxiety, overwhelm, and increase positivity in your life. And I really believe that no matter who you are, whether you feel like you've really mastered more positivity in your life, that you've decreased anxiety, there are times when we all have lower moments. Some people have more of those lower moments. We string them together as multiple days, multiple weeks, and that's when we start to be in that lower mood, that chronic state of depression, that chronic state of overwhelm where we can't feel like anything will ever change, that we'll never be able to get out of our current circumstances. This is what leads to a repetitive cycle, a really bad mindset that perpetuates your current condition. You will be getting more of that. I mean, these things compound on top of each other. So what we need to do are layer in many of the things that I'm going to talk about with you today. They don't take a lot of time. They just take a little bit of effort. And I don't need a heroic effort. I really don't, because you're not going to make a heroic effort stick. It's why with a lot of these diets that are so abrasive, that are so aggressive in one direction, it's going to be fine for a few weeks, but it's not going to stick. So what is the point of that? A few weeks of bliss, few weeks of feeling good, and then feeling worse afterwards when you didn't stick with it? That's not what we want. We want a plan that we can take with us no matter where we are, home, travel, etc. And we want a plan that we can use for the rest of our life. So that's why today really broke it down to 7 different ways that I've seen over the years that I've been able to use myself, but also in my practice. So keep in mind, I run a functional medicine practice, an integrative health practice. And you say, well, why are you working on things like emotional balance, like I have in the de-stress protocol? Why are you working on success mindset, reducing stress? Well, here's the thing. When you are not in a good headspace, so in terms of mood and in terms of your overall emotions, it affects everything in your life. And I think that we all intuitively know this. When you're not feeling well, digestion isn't as good. You're more likely to get poor sleep because your mind's always racing about all the different worries you have. It also affects your relationships with your partner, with your kids, with your parents, with your friends. You sometimes want to be less social, or you might drink alcohol a little bit too much to forget about those problems that you're currently facing. And at the same time, it's going to add up. Stress is such a huge part of autoimmune issues, psoriasis, skin issues, migraines, you name it. Stress is a big part of that. And it starts to imbalance the immune system. So we can look at this for health. We can look at it for emotional health and emotional well-being. We can look at it in terms of boosting your metabolism. Being stressed lowers your metabolism. I mean, these things are clinically proven. So what I want to do today is, however you need this in your life, good, apply it there. But in general, you don't need to say, oh, this is going to be good for my metabolism, good for my overall autoimmune issues, or good for my psyche. What you need to say is that this affects the entire body, because what we do for one part of the body affects the entire body. The body is interconnected. I mean, we can do that just by looking at it. Everything is connected. The blood flows through your entire body. It's not different blood in your arm than different blood in your left leg, right? It's not. The blood circulates through your body. And when you have inflammation, it's most likely, unless it was an injury, it's most likely systemic. It's over the entire body. So what's good for one part is good for everything. And that's really what I want people to begin to understand. Holistic health really is about helping the entire person, mind, body, and spirit. So let's go over the first way right now. So 7 ways to reduce your anxiety and overwhelm and increase positivity in your life. So the first one is this. There are times in your life where there are certain triggers that make you more anxious, more irritable, more overwhelmed. What I want you to think about is, what are those? What comes to your mind? And if nothing comes to your mind right away, what I'd like you to do is simply journal that, note that when it happens. One thing that I do for foods and certain things like that is, if I ever feel a little off, I have a little inside of my iPhone, inside of the notes, all I have is one particular note, and it's called health. That's it. And so in there, I can jot down anything that I felt wasn't good for my digestion. I can jot down anything that I felt was like an emotional-based trigger, whatever it might be. And once you kind of master this, you don't have to use it too much. And so again, I don't use that all the time anymore, but I always go back to it. Oh, this food has been an issue in the past. Look at that. Like whatever, whether it's going out, you might have corn. Like you don't eat corn that often. All of a sudden it gives you digestive issues. Or when you are combining certain foods, that hasn't been good for you in the past. So you can learn a lot just by being more self-aware, which is something that I preach all the time. But let's talk about this in terms of anxiety, overwhelm, irritability. What are those particular triggers? Is it when you're at work and you have really tight deadlines? Or is it when you are driving your kids to an after-school activity? Or is it in a particular relationship with a friend or parents, whatever it might be? I want you to think about, what are your big triggers that cause anxiety? Okay, so there's a couple things we need to do. So first, if we cannot remove some of those triggers from our life, we need to try to cut them down as much as we can. So for example, crazy deadlines at work or something like that, what I want you to think about is this. Could you do work ahead of time potentially so that the deadline didn't really sneak up on you as fast? Same goes for students, at university, college, etc. Can you do a little bit more work up front to cut down on the overall load afterwards? Or if you can't, let's just say you can't, for whatever reason, whatever that trigger is, what I need you to do is know that it's coming. So you start to become more aware. Okay, here it comes. Deadline, work, driving the kids to school, like whatever it might be, sitting in traffic, you name it. It can be anything for any person. What I want you to do is begin to breathe as it begins to come. You need to do something with what's called a pattern interrupt. So this is the first way. You need to create a pattern interrupt. So what I want you to do is, because when you start to get stressed, you will hold your breath, okay? Or you will do very shallow chest breathing, or basically just throat breathing, where you might start to feel your voice get a little higher, you start to feel weaker, less grounded, and you just basically breathe from your chest very shallow. So relax your body, relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, start to breathe more into your belly, okay? Super important thing to look at, breathing into that belly. And what I'd love you to do is this. Okay, after that stressful based event, how do we turn it off? Because here's the thing. We're all going to encounter stress. Some things can cause more anxiety than others. What do you do to turn off the stress? For me, you've heard it before, but I will get outside. So I'll get out of my office, I'll get out of whatever space it is, and I will go for a walk. Maybe it's only 10 minutes, but I will get outside, I will breathe, and I will change spaces. Changing your space is a good way to cut off that stress that you just felt. So changing your space is a big one, breathing is a big one, and also just changing your physiology. If you're sitting down when you got the stress, if you're in your car when you got the stress, stand up. Open up your chest. Put your arms up in a V. Close your eyes. Breathe. Do a sun salutation from yoga. Do something that changes your physiology. If you don't know what a sun salutation is, you can just go to my website, stephencabral.com/podcast, type in asana, A-S-A-N-A, or sun salutation, and you'll actually see a graphic that teaches you on a separate podcast of how to do this particular sun salutation. It works on breathing, it works on movement, gets that lymphatic system flowing. You do 5 of those, you're going to feel totally different, and it might take you maybe 90 seconds to complete that. So, all right, that's number 1, pattern interrupt. Number 2 is this. Number 2 is spend more time. So if you're anxious, especially let's just say you're going through a hard time, you're feeling overwhelmed, spend time with the people that you know who cheer you up the most, they're not necessarily there to just say, like, feed into how you're feeling. They're there that when you're with them, you don't need to necessarily talk about your hard times. You can, but when you're with them, things are more relaxed. You shift out of that fight or flight. You shift out of that sympathetic nervous system dominance, and you begin to relax. You have some fun. You go out to dinner. You grab a coffee or a tea with them. You go out to lunch, and it's just a little bit of an escape. And then when you come out of that, you say, you know what? My head's more clear now. I can think more clearly. Maybe things aren't necessarily as bad as I've made them out to be. Or they are, but I can handle this, right? So it's a new sense of positivity. Who are your go-to people? Who are your go-to people? Like, I have a couple good buddies that I can talk with, I can hang out with. It's always a good time. Like, especially my high school buddies that I'm still friends with. We could go out on a Friday night. We could go out together. And although we don't see each other as often as we really should, we have families now, all sorts of things going on. Get together, it's just like old times. Like, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. And it's amazing. That's exactly, what I love about hanging out with this particular group is that, yeah, we have our jobs. We have all that. Maybe we talk about it a little bit, but not too much. We're talking about sports. We're talking about old memories, like all these different things, and it's a lot of fun. So who's your go-to group, right? I know that if I'm having a hard day, I can sit down at night, we put our girls to bed, and I can chat with my wife about, like, hey, listen, this is what's going on. I want to share this with you, and I'd also love, your advice. And just talking things out. I tell this to people all the time. Like, you should do all the protocols that you need, but it's also not a bad thing to be able to chat with someone, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a friend, someone that you can just talk about all of this with. Get it off of your chest, as they say. You will feel lighter. You'll feel less anxious. So, number 2 is spend more time with your good friends, your family, those people who will lift you up, allow you to be you. Number 3 is this, and it builds off of number 2. Surround yourself with new people that you want to be more like or emulate. Now, I'm a big believer in the unique you. Never change, right? You are you, but when I say never change is don't lose the essence of you, right? But it's okay to begin to model other people's lives and behavior if it's on the path that you're looking for. So, for example, when I was looking to become a doctor of naturopathy, when I'm looking to become a functional medicine doctor, when I'm looking to open my own practice, all of these things, I looked up to many other doctors who had done that before me. I was not modeling their personal life, but I was modeling the life that they were creating for the practice that they wanted. So I would talk with different mentors. I would talk with different people. What are you doing? What works for you? What do you enjoy doing? Like, how does that fit within your life? How do you create boundaries? Like, how does all of this work? And I began to kind of not take on their personality, but began to take on the essence of who they've already become because I was not yet that person. And the same when I was going through my really hard times because my body was very sick, but my mind was sick as well. And I've said that before. I was not in a healthy headspace, and it kept me ill for much longer because I couldn't get out of that. So what I had to do was begin to shift my mind. And I started to actually, this was very, very beneficial because I was still sick when I was in college. And when I got out, though, I started working as a nutritionist, personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach. And I would work with a lot of great clients. These people were educators and teachers, CEOs of companies. They were hedge fund managers, like whatever it might be. And I got to engage with all of their different personalities. And these were all very successful people in their own right. The health club that I worked at was not an inexpensive place. And what I was just learning from, and again, monetary income is not the end all be all. And it's absolutely not the gauge of a successful person's life. I would actually say that it doesn't even have to be a part of it at all if a person's living the life that they want. Now, obviously, income is important to be able to do the things in life that you want for yourself, whether it be travel or sending your kids to the schools that you want or having the house that you want, whatever it might be, right? And so it really depends on your desire. But the people that I was talking to, and again, some people were making $30,000 a year as a teacher, and they were an amazing educator. They loved their work. Now, some people were making $1 billion or made $1 billion, and they loved their work. It was they had balance in their life, and they truly were happy. Like, you could see that they enjoyed life. And I started to take things from that, but really just being around them, I got to say, all of these people, they're all very different, men, women, and they have different types of jobs, and they're successful in their own right. And they're also doing what they want to be doing. And that's a big part of it. So I got to just see that from many different angles. And it allowed me to kind of step outside of my previous community growing up and realize that life doesn't have to dictate itself to you. You can actually do a lot in life where you get to dictate and take control of your own life. I realized this when I started to work with more of these empowering-based clients, that I too could take a little bit of their strength and realize that I might be able to shape my own life, right? That is something that I might be able to build and draw upon some strength. So whether you are reading books about success stories, I used to do a lot of that, right? Because I didn't have any money, so I couldn't hire any coaches, couldn't hire any mentors, but I did start to invest in a little bit of seminars and a little bit more of higher level certifications. And I got to meet people, and I also get to meet the teachers teaching these certifications, where I'm like, oh, wow, I mean, look at this person. And I would ask, like, hey, how did you progress? Like, what were you doing when you were, 18 years old? What did it look like? And you'd be surprised. A lot of them came from very little and ended up doing and creating the life that they wanted. So that's just something to share with you as well. Find new people, find new inspiring people. Go to the seminar, take the certification, find an online group, whatever it is, meet up with those people, right? There's even meetup groups that are free, basically, to meet up with other people who share your same sentiments and mindset, or where you want to go. All right, the fourth one is this. Begin to reframe your statements in life. What you say is so powerful. Honestly, I'm going to talk more about this in the future, but I'm an advocate. I am an advocate of neuro-linguistic programming. I've studied it so much now, but I'm not the expert in it. I'm not the master of that. I refer out for this, but I've studied it quite in depth, and it is very powerful. But you have to understand, neurolinguistic programming goes more into the images that we conjure up in our mind, the things that are in our subconscious that we brought from childhood to adulthood. We're no longer a child. We no longer need to be scared, yet we brought it to our adulthood. And we don't even sometimes know what it is. So you work with someone, you begin to reframe your memories from the past, and now you're free from it. You are free from those memories that have literally been haunting you. But even your statements, just think of this one statement. I have to. Oh, I have to go to work today. Oh, I have to drive my kids to an after-school activity. I have to take care of my parent this weekend. I have to, whatever it is, right? Think of the I have tos. I need you to shift this, okay? Because so many of us have so much to be grateful for. And although it might not be our favorite thing, we need to reframe this, because most of the situation that we're in is a finite period of time. I want you to say this. Instead of I have to, I get to. I get to go to work today. Think of the alternative. Think if you didn't have a job. Think if you weren't working. Think if you didn't have income. How bad that would be. Unless you're independently wealthy, it would be really bad to not have any money. So be grateful for that job. Is it your dream job? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But here's the thing. You have a job. You get to go to work. I always used to say that to myself. I've done many jobs and many things that I haven't necessarily loved in life. But it gave me an income, and it also gave me growth, and it gave me perspective. When I was doing jobs I did not love growing up, I realized I'm not going to be doing this forever. It can change, but also it is allowing me other things in life. If there's something that I need to, like for example, paying for books in college, I needed to do things my month off in December, half of January before going back to school, so I could buy my books for the next semester. So I needed that job, whatever it was. Okay, so I got to do it. Yes, I had to do it. I had to work on some holidays. Not ideal, but I had a job. So I got to do it. Same with, again, driving your kids after school activities. It's a finite period of time. They're going to be out of the house soon, and you get to do that. You're also fortunate enough to have kids hopefully healthy enough to do these after-school activities, and you get to be able to take them on these experiences. You get to be able to shape their lives. They're going to remember that, okay? And you can use this in any way, shape, or form. Please do begin to replace the I have to's with the I get to's, and anything that you have to do, if it just needs a little bit of perspective change, great. But if it needs to actually be changed, like job or caretaking for someone, whatever it is, maybe you can actually work on how can I change this over the next 3 months? And you can begin to take steps. Number 5 is this. The 5th way to reduce that anxiety and increase positivity in your life is to begin your day with a new positive mantra. Okay, you've heard me talk about this in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. I've talked about this before. Everybody needs a mantra. You need a mantra to just keep you moving and vibrating on a positive level throughout the day. My favorite mantra by Emile Coué is, every day and every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day and every way, I'm getting better and better. Why do I love that? One is he proved its ability to work, right? And it's because of, if you say it enough, over time, with repetition and with feeling, it begins to change your psychology, which eventually can change your physiology. So again, you have to believe, you have to keep saying it with repetition throughout the day, but also it's non-specific, which is what I love. Every day and every way, I'm getting better and better. Well, what are you getting better at? Whatever it is you need to get better at. That's the nice thing. Every day and every way, I'm getting better and better. With relationships, with spirituality, with body transformation, with your health, with your career. Every day and every way, I'm getting better and better. But you can create your own. So you can also say this. Today, like when you wake up in the morning, today I'm moving one step closer to my goals. Today I'm moving closer to my goals. Today I am beginning to feel my goals manifest themselves in my life. Today, and you can say your specific goal if you want, whatever it might be, and you move towards that. Today's going to be a great day. Today's going to be a day filled with positivity. Today's a day that I begin to become more self-aware, that I begin to focus back on my breath. Whatever you need for that positive mantra, use it. Let it stick. Use it for a couple weeks minimum and try it out. Test it out, right? See how it feels. And then if it doesn't work, easy, you can switch to a new one that serves you better. You're not stuck to it. It's your mantra. You get to choose. Number 6 is this, fair setting. Now, I did a whole podcast on this before, and I would love you to go back and definitely tune into that one. This was something that I quoted from Tim Ferriss, and it was basically on creating a 3-sheet piece of paper on how to ask yourself what is going on in your life when you are worried about the worst case scenario, like worried about change. So what I want you to do is go back, tune into that episode, which was episode 1438. You can just go to stephencabral.com/1438 after this. And it was one way that Tim Ferriss was able to overcome a lot of his anxiety and fear about trying new things. So I'm going to give you the gist of it right now to make sure that you do have a full 7 ways here. But I want you to go more in depth on it. What I'd like you to think about is this. Oftentimes, when we're thinking about starting a new health program, body transformation program, spirituality, a new relationship, a new career, hobby, etc., we're always worried about all of the bad things that could happen. So write them down. Write down actually all the bad things that could happen. Write down what's the worst case scenario. And then write down how likely is that to happen. Write it down. Don't be afraid of it. Write that down. Get it out of your head and on paper. Now, maybe it's not so scary, and you're not going to play it on loop in your head anymore. Then what I want you to do, and there's more to it than this, but then I want you to write down this. What's the best case scenario? Like if you made this decision, here's all the worst case, here's all the bad stuff that could happen. What's the best case scenario? Does the best case overshadow the possible bad things that could happen? What's the percentage of the bad things that could happen? What's the percentage of the best case scenario? And how would that change your life? I love using that. So check that out as well. It's called fear setting. Number 7 is this. Number 7, the last way to reduce anxiety, overwhelm, and increase positivity in your life is this. I need you to do two things. It's not necessarily fake it until you make it, but it is about changing the neuroplasticity of the brain. And I need you to do a couple things with your physiology and your psychology. So with your physiology, I need you to smile. I need you to smile for no reason at all. Like literally just smile. Smile right now and feel the positivity. Because as you feel the positivity, what does it do? It short circuits that negative, right? Oh, why am I smiling right now? I don't know. What was I worried about before? I don't know. You're smiling, which automatically increases those positive endorphins because your physiology changes your psychology. Raising your arms up in a V, improving your posture, improves confidence. You can look at the studies with this. You can look at how physiology, changing your body's state, changes your psychology. So I want you to smile for no reason at all. I want you to smile and breathe. And that changes the physiology. Now, for the psychology, I want you to simply stop, or I want you to do this. Suspend disbelief. Begin to believe. So many people, this will never happen. That'll never happen. Well, the reason you believe that right now is because you've never had it in your life. And I get it. It's hard to believe in something you've never had. But think of it this way. There are many things you have in your life today that you never would have thought that you've had before. Now they just seem like, oh, of course. Yeah, of course I have that. Well, at one point, it wasn't a given. And that's how all of the new changes in your life will happen. They will become a given as well in the future. But for right now, you've never had them. It's hard to believe, but I need you to suspend belief. Because if you always don't believe, you're not going to bring those things into your life. You're not going to think the thoughts, feel the feelings, or take the actions. So begin to smile, feel the positive endorphins, and begin to believe. The alternative is so much better, right? Believing is so much better than staying in that sour mood, that bad mood. It may or may not happen, right? I believe that you can make it happen. I believe in you. I believe in you. But here's the thing. The alternative is you still feel better today. You're still going through your day feeling more positive. And more positivity leads to more positivity. Just like thinking negative leads to more negativity. We need to break the cycle, just finish that loop, meaning like close the loop with more positivity, smile, breathe, change your physiology, and begin to work these 7 steps. So hopefully today's show was helpful. As always, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it can serve. And I'd love to hear your comments over at on Instagram, just at Stephen Cabral. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.